Hi, it's Kevin Lobates here, and as you can tell by the resonance hat, today's video is about computer security. And I'm going to start off by talking about a psychology experiment. Then I'm going to move on to discuss the recently announced and subsequently denounced AI software engineer Devin. And then finally, I'm going to tie it all together into some lessons learned about computer security. So let's start with that psychology experiment. It's an older one, but a good one, in which the experimenters take the subjects into a waiting room where there are some actors or stooges and tell them to wait. And then while the subjects are sitting in the waiting room, they pump smoke under a door into the room. And the actors have been told not to react to the smoke. And what happens is that the subjects are looking for guidance and feedback from the other people around them, and therefore typically they ignore the smoke too. And this is typical human behavior. We are a tribal species, or a herd-based species, if you want to put it that way, and we take our feedback from those around us. And therefore, because the actors are ignoring the smoke, the subjects ignore it too. And if that had been a real life situation, well, it could have ended very badly, because ignoring smoke in a building means you can burn to death. And this experiment has been replicated again and again, and it shows a trait of human beings that, although generally speaking a good survival instinct, staying with the herd can increase your chances of making it through life. For specific instances, it can be very, very bad. And that leads me on to the way that people reacted to the announcement about a month ago from a company that they had produced an AI software developer, which they called Devin, that was going to take over from human software developers. This is meant to be something that's going to replace the need for software engineers. And at the time, my LinkedIn feed was full of gushing reports, mainly from marketing types who seemed very, very impressed by this announcement and by the video that came with it, in which the software agent was solving a development project or a development problem. And there wasn't very much in the way of comment from genuine software engineers. And I did post about it, but I kind of hedged my bets at the time, which I think is part of that psychology experiment. The other people in the room weren't speaking up loudly, and so neither did I. What flagged the project as suspect to me was the fact that to sign up for the beta, you had to provide a description of the project or the problem that you wanted Devin to solve. And that struck me as a means for the company to pre-vet projects and check whether Devin was able to solve the problem presented before allowing you access and to give it a go. So cherry picking is not really an ethical approach, as far as I'm concerned, when it comes to showing off your project's or your product's abilities. Other people pointed out that the beta sign-up form was an embedded Google form, raising the question, if you have an amazing AI software engineer on your staff, why wouldn't you build your own web interface and form for handling that, rather than relying on Google as a third party to do so? So there were a couple of red flags there already, but by and by, the reports were very, very positive about how amazing this was going to be. And watch out, software developers, your jobs are on the line, was a frequently quoted message. Now we're a month on, and a software developer has actually gone and analyzed and tried to replicate the demo video that was presented with Devin. And the software engineer has found that Devin isn't solving the problem that the repository it is acting on has. It looks from the video on the surface that Devin is going in and fixing bugs. What has been uncovered is that Devin is actually adding files to the repository that serve no real purpose and contain lots of bugs, and is then fixing the bugs in the files that it's added. So completely pointless and glossed over by the company that has produced Devin. And so now, a month later, we're seeing a lot of posts on LinkedIn and X that are ridiculing Devin and pointing out that it looks an awful lot like a hoax. So the question there then is, why did it take a month for people who actually understand the topic or the domain within which Devin operates to speak up and say, hang on, something's not right here? And why was it that in the previous month there was a lot of excitement and effusive praise as to how amazing this was from people who don't understand the topic under discussion properly? And the answer, I think, boils down to that psychology experiment that I described, the one where the smoke fills the room, a bunch of people are thinking, hang on a minute, this isn't right, but because everybody else around them is acting like everything is okay, they keep quiet. And software developers tend to be pretty conservative, broadly speaking, when it comes to making statements or expressing opinions compared to the people outside of technology. I don't know why that is. I guess part of it may have something to do with the general introverted nature of coding. But anyway, that would be a topic for another video. So what lesson can we take away from this? And I think the answer is that this has serious impacts on computer security. If, as a developer or a DevOps person, you don't speak up when you see something that doesn't feel quite right, you are increasing the risk to your company or your project or your computer setup. However, it takes a certain level of courage and going against the wishes of the herd to do so. Expressing skepticism in the security level of a project is seen as a criticism often. And so it's in our nature to try to avoid conflict and therefore not raise the concerns that we have, push them, sweep them under the carpet, try to pretend that they're not there. And I think this is a significant cause, or significant contributor to the security problems that we see in the computer industry in general. Now, I don't have an easy solution. It's all very well to say, well, computer professionals should speak up when they see these issues. But we've seen how society treats whistleblowers in general, despite the existence of legislation to supposedly protect them. In general, if you speak up, you get criticized, you may even get ostracized. So there's a lot of pressure not to do so. However, next time you see one of those red flags, why not remember this video and actually raise your concerns? And I was guilty of not being more forceful a month ago when I saw Devin and thought, this looks like a load of nonsense to me, because there was a part of me that was scared that it would turn out to be brilliant and I would look foolish. I wish in hindsight that I had actually spoken up and been more forceful rather than posting a fairly subtle, understated post indicating that I thought there might be something wrong. I hope you've gained something from this video, and I hope that as a community as a whole in the computer security industry, we can all benefit from this. It's worth going away and thinking about, and I hope to see you in the next video soon. Bye for now.